Good. We're going to call the meeting to order at 5:03. Can I get a roll call, Dinah?
Board Member Van Landingham,
Present on Zoom.
Woo, hi.
Board Member Bove LaMonica, Vice President Clerk Barrow,
Present.
President Cole.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Dinah. Moving on to public comment and communication regarding closed session items. And do we have anyone in the waiting room, Dinah? I'll just read the announcement. Public comments from the audience to the board for items on closed session. Members of the audience may address the board regarding closed session items. Comments from visitors shall not exceed 3 minutes unless waived by a majority of all members of the board. Seeing no one here, we're going to just move that we don't have anyone to talk about public comment, and we'll adjourn to closed session. I love clapping that way.
Hello.
Is this
There,
working?
it is working now. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hermosa Beach City School District's board meeting. We are happy to, sorry, do we need to take the roll call first? Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Board Member Van Landingham,
Present on Zoom.
Board Member Cluth,
Present.
Board Member Bove LaMonica. Present. Vice President Clerk Barrow,
Present.
President Cole,
Present.
all present.
Tonight, the board voted in closed session 5-0 to appoint two outstanding educational leaders to the principal positions for the 2025-2026 school year. Dr. Jessica I want to make sure I get the name right. Gobriel has been appointed as the principal of Hermosa View Elementary School. Dr. Gobriel brings a wealth of experience as a program specialist and board-certified behavior analyst in Redondo Beach Unified School District with deep expertise in special education, inclusive practices, and instructional leadership. A South Bay native and valedictorian of West Torrance High School, Dr. Gobriel completed her undergraduate work in psychology from UCLA, her master's in early childhood special education from Cal State Dominguez, and a doctorate in educational leadership from USC. She is a house divided herself. Dr. Gobriel has demonstrated strong leadership in district-wide initiatives and professional development, and we are very excited to have her come be the principal at Hermosa View, and will also be joined by Miss Grace Yang, who has been appointed as principal of Hermosa Vista Elementary School. Miss Yang also currently serves as a program specialist in Redondo Beach, where she has led IEP teams, supervised instructional staff, and supported literacy and behavior practices aligned with the science of reading. Also a California native, she earned her undergraduate degree also from UCLA, her master's degree in education with a specialization in special ed from Claremont University, and her admin credential from Cal State Dominguez Hills. She is a certified trainer in the Institute for Multisensory Education, Orton Gilliam Plus, and highly qualified through the Knowledge and Practice Examination for Effective Reading Instruction Exam, equipping her to lead instructional improvement in early literacy, which is exactly what we would love. And we are thrilled to have them both join us soon and look forward to their leadership and contributions to the city of Hermosa Beach School District. And we want to thank Ms. Overbeck for her dedicated work to both school communities over the past few years, as well as Ms. Scora and her support of Hermosa View as an interim principal this semester. Okay, so we're very excited to have those two people join us. Moving on to the flag salute. Please join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dr. Wilds, before we go on, can you just briefly talk about how the hiring committee works for new principals?
Absolutely. So we want to thank HBEA, who worked to get us a very robust panel. So we had classified representatives from both View and Vista. We had certificated teachers from both View and Vista. We had, thank you to PTO, we had two parents, as well as Ms. Gluck and myself. So that was for the first round of the interviews. We had an extensive 12 questions that we asked the panelists, and then the panelists kind of debriefed, and then we invited back the top candidates based on recommendations from the panel.
And how many people did we have in our pool?
We had 34 originally who applied for the position. We narrowed it down to 10. One received a job, so they dropped off for the interview. So we had interviewed 9, brought back 4 for second round.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Just wanted to share that with everyone. Moving on to approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Carol.
Second.
Thank you, Maggie. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have to do roll call on that?
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Great. Moving on. Agenda approved. So announcements. Welcome to the Hermosa Valley Student Council. Coming on in. Here they come.
Aww.
Welcome. Hi, everyone. Hi. Yes, it's come on in.
Go right ahead.
Oh, feel free. Go right ahead.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cordelia, Hermosa Valley Student Council President. We're excited to be here tonight and give you an update on what's been happening at Valley, because it's been a busy few weeks. So.
Hi, I'm Presley Clancy Simon, a Student Council representative. Our Builders Club is holding a food drive for the homeless, and we're asking students to bring in non-perishable food and hygiene products to their homeroom teachers by May 30th. The class that brings in the most donations will win a sweet treat.
A sweet treat.
Hi, I'm Olive, Hermosa Valley Student Council representative. This Friday, we're having a popsicle sale during both lunches in the bowl. Popsicles are just $1, and the money raised will go to support for suicide prevention.
Oh, wow.
Hello, I'm Luke, and I'm a student council representative. Our 8th grade graders are finalizing their 3rd grade book projects. The books will be printed and bound, and on June 2nd, they will read them to the 3rd graders. Big thanks to Miss Kathy Barrow for starting this fun and meaningful tradition.
You're welcome.
Oh my gosh, sorry. Another one of our beloved traditions at Hermosa Valley is the 8th grade legacy tiles, and they're going to be displayed soon. So we're really excited to see how they turn out.
Hello, I'm Griffin. I'm the fundraising chair for Student Council. We've also started working on our memory boards and graduation speeches, and while they're excited about high school, they're enjoying every moment of their last month at Hermosa Valley.
Hi, I'm Lucy Olson, 7th grade vice president at Hermosa Valley. State testing started this week. Today was the final day for 6th and 7th grade students. Next week, 5th and 8th graders will take the science test. Good luck to everyone.
Coming up, Beach Day Spirit Games on Wednesday, May 28th. Valley is super excited.
Our concert band will be performing at their spring concert on May 20th at 5:30 p.m. in the Valley NPR. The theme is the magic of music and imagination, and we hope to see you there.
Both the concert and jazz band will also perform at the Forum Music Festival on May 30th. Thank you to Dr. Clements for working with our jazz band during lunch. Good luck to all of our musicians.
Hi, I'm Chloe Lucchini, Hermosa Valley Student Council dance representative. This week wraps up our spring sports season. Today, the girls' flag football team played their last game against Paris. They won 7-0. Tomorrow, they play the boys volleyball teams will finish their season with a home game against Dana. Good luck and big thank you to Coach Vasquez for an awesome sports season.
Exciting news. Next week, Valley students can try out for the 2025 to 2026 cheer team. If you have school spirit, love to perform, and want to be part of a fun and spirited team, we encourage you to try out.
Hi, my name is Jonesy. I'm Hermosa Valley's Student Council dance representative. Mandatory tryout clinics will be held Monday, May 20th through Wednesday, May 22nd, from 3 to 4 p.m. in Valley NPR. Students must sign up using the Google Form link on the Valley Athletics website. We're also thrilled to welcome the California Redwoods, a professional field lacrosse team who will be offering free after-school lacrosse clinics. All 5th through 8th grade students are invited to join on Hermosa Field on Monday, May 19th and Tuesday, May 20th from 3 to 4:15 p.m.
These clinics are a great introduction to lacrosse and will include skills like passing, catching, cradling, and shooting, all in a fun, supportive environment. No experience or equipment needed.
That's it from us. So thank you for letting us share what's happening at Valley, and we look forward to seeing you guys again next month. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys are always the highlight of the meeting, so don't. So great job. You guys did a great job presenting. We're excited to hear about the lacrosse. That's fun that they're going to come and do that for free. All right, moving on to public comments. Members of the audience may address the board on any topic, regardless of whether it is listed on the agenda. However, the board may not discuss issues raised that are not listed on the agenda. Topics not on the agenda that are brought to the board's attention may be investigated by the administration and a report made to the board, either publicly or privately, at a future meeting. Comments from visitors shall not exceed 3 minutes per individual speaker unless waived by a majority of all members of the board. And just checking to see if we have anyone wanted to have public comment tonight.
No written comments.
I did get one comment, just a neighborly comment from after the HBEF fundraiser the other night that just asked us to consider the fact that maybe we wanted to rein in the noise after 10 p.m. It was a little loud in the neighborhood. So we appreciate the comment, and we will share that with HBEF. It was a very good time. The whole neighborhood probably had a really good time also. And also we might want to consider expanding who we tell in terms of if there's going to be an event that happens. So I know we hit the close neighbors, but maybe to expand it to other concentric circles around the school. That is all I have from public comment. I'm going to open the public hearing regarding the adoption of Wit and Wisdom K through 8, Geodes K through 3, and Foundations TK through 3, an English Language Arts program. And we are taking any public comment on that. Thank you. All the audience members tonight don't have anything to say about it, but we'll take that as a thumbs up. We'll tell you more about the program in the meeting further. So we'll now move to 8.3. We're going to close the hearing regarding the adoption of Wit and Wisdom, K through 8, Geodes K through 3, and Foundations TK through 3, the English Language Arts program. Do we need to take a motion?
You take a vote.
Yeah. A vote to adopt. Thank you, Kathy. Can I get a second?
Second.
Is the action to close the public hearing, or is the action to close the public hearing? Yep. Action to just, thank you, Rachel. We'll take Rachel. All right, we'll move on to number 9, board member reports. Maggie? Rachel?
I don't have anything for right now.
The wellness meeting is tomorrow, I think. Yep.
Yes.
Carol? You can talk about it around table.
I'll talk about it later. Okay.
I have nothing.
Okay, well, moving on. All right, reports to the board and discussion. We will welcome 10.1, Measure HV, the General Obligation Bond, First Issuance Overview. Mr. John Isom, welcome to the mic.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And congratulations.
Thank
you. A little
you.
belated from me, but this is the first time I've been in front of you since the successful measure passed. But what an incredible opportunity we have in front of you. I've got a brief presentation that I want to kind of take you through, and I'll go pretty quickly. I know we've got some new board members and some more experienced or wiser board members that have gone through this before. And then we've got a resolution that I'll touch on just briefly and discuss why it's in information only. But just to take you through this and the community through this. So this is our first issuance, first slide here. Just by way of overview, of course, the voters, I think, quite comfortably passed Measure HV. Oh, do I have the ability to? Oh, sorry. My last board meeting, I had to say, next slide. Okay. And for those that can't read this, I apologize. The font's a little small, but I think it's still readable. But 62% of the voters gave us authorization to upgrade, renovate, and renew schools in the community, which is just, again, fantastic. The ballot language, which you see there, I'm not going to read it, is a guiding principle, but really what you're going to be governed by is the resolution calling the election and the detailed project list that was made part of that. As it relates to a bond sale, we have certain constraints, certain parameters by which a bond program is organized. You can see them there. There's interest rates, there's actual assessed value, there's assessed value projections, there's the tax rate, and then there's term, or how many years a bond program goes out. So every community, every district that does a bond has the same constraints. LA Unified, gigantic tax base, the same tax rate that you have would produce a lot more in bond proceeds, right? Low interest rate gets you more money, high interest rates get you less money. But we'll talk through about the $28.7 million and how we see this. This may be more than you want to know, but I figured I'd throw it on there because I think it's interesting for people to understand how bonds essentially work. So starting in the bottom right-hand corner, as a district, you receive money from investors, and then you fix up your schools. Now, going upwards, and I'm going to go in counterclockwise motion, the district property owners, of course, they enjoy improved school facilities. and all of the things that does for their property values and neighborhoods, et cetera, et cetera. And in turn, they're going to be making property tax payments every year. The county tax collector, they serve two purposes. One is to send the tax bills out, and the other is to collect the money. And who do they give it to? They give it to the paying agent. The paying agent sends the county an invoice, essentially, and says, this is how much you need to levy. And then they take those tax collections and they give it to the DTC, or Depository Trust Company. They serve a simple purpose, which is give the investors back their money. And the investors, of course, they receive money back after having given it to the district. This process takes place every year. So every year it's the exact same exercise. Paying agent says, what do we owe? Sends it to the tax collector, sends it to the taxpayers, the money gets paid, et cetera, et cetera. Again, I feel bad because it's small font or I need glasses. So the district's history, and as it relates to assessed value, if you remember, one of the parameters we have here is our assessed value. Total assessed value on this table here, 24-25, is $10.67 billion. So that's what we have to play with. We apply a tax rate towards $10.67 billion, and every year we receive revenues from that. Each year going forward, we build in an assumption or an increase in what assessed values are going to be, and that projection is built into the program. So with a similar tax rate every year, you're actually going to collect a little bit more money each and every year, and we use that stream of projected revenues to generate a bond program. Currently, the 24-25 tax rate is $33.24. If you recall from the election, the idea is kind of an extension of the old bonds, and will ultimately be levying a similar tax rate throughout the life of the program. In the short term, we won't be levying a whole lot of interest or taxes on it because we have to wait for the old bonds to be paid off. Okay, that's one of the things, and maybe I'll take. I'll keep going because I'll get to the legal documents. So, what does that mean for this particular bond program? This is probably of most note for you guys, and that is issuance schedule. Right now, we've got an issuance in 25, 27/28, and then 29/30. Why the variation? Because what we don't know is what actual assessed value is going to be. We don't know what actual interest rates are going to be. While we know what the tax rate should be, and we know what term we want to keep it at, those other variables keep us a little bit into the dark until we get more clarity. So every year what happens is we look at your assessed value, we see the growth, we come back and say, hey, good news, we can issue X number of dollars. Do you need the money now, or do you want to wait another year based on cash flow? We believe that the district is going to accelerate this program because if you look in the fine print, the footnote there, we assume 3.5% AV growth projected going forward. That's not what we think it's going to be, but that's what we put into the model. And going back, look at your historical, this is the third column on the right-hand side, your 5.79%, right? You haven't had 3.5% for a decade plus. So that just means we're going to get those dollars sooner, but we can't and don't want to necessarily assume it because if you're wrong, tax rate goes up. So that's why it's kind of a win-win in this regard. So you passed your bond, now what? Just real briefly, the process that happens from here is three different exercises in selling bonds. There is the legal parameters, which is what we've been working on and will continue to work on in the coming weeks. There's what we call preparing the bonds for sale, which involves getting a bond rating and possible insurance. And then there's actually selling the bonds. So let's just talk very briefly about each of those. So legal documents, generally you have the resolution authorizing the sale of general obligation bonds. What you have before you tonight is information item, but it's really the resolution that we're going to be using at the subsequent board meeting. Why 2 looks at it, okay? State law requires a district that is not selling what's called current interest bonds to have 2 discussions on the topic of a bond that's going to have capital appreciation bonds, okay? So a capital appreciation bond, best analogy is like the old war savings bonds, right? The United States government says, hey, I don't have any money to give you year over year, but if you give me $5,000 today, in 5 years, I'll give you $6,000. Or you give me $8,000 and in 10 years, I'll give you $10,000, right? It's a scenario where you don't have available revenues to make annual payments, so you're going to accrete that interest over time, and then where you do have the funds available, you can then make those bond payments to the bondholders. Our limitation, bad analogy, I don't want to call it a war, but our rationale for the reason we can't make current interest bonds payments every year is because of the tax rate extension concept, right? We told voters we're not going to increase your taxes. We got another 5 years of those taxes being outstanding and those payments that are required. And then what will happen is after 5 years, things will open up and we'll have a lot more flexibility. So under the law, as it relates again to this disclosure, it really is to ensure that districts don't make a decision that they're not aware of, that they're understanding of the options. The reason why we don't do an all current interest bond structure, which in this case is it would require raising the taxes. And so there's this disclosure. A couple of other just interesting nuances about capital appreciation bonds. There's nothing wrong about them. The district has done CABs before. A lot of districts have done it. But before this law came out in the last several years, districts could go 40 years. And that became really expensive. Someone would say, well, if I don't see a penny for 40 years, you have to really give me a high interest rate. They have limits on repayment ratio, which is 4-to-1 is the max, meaning for every dollar you borrow, only 3 could be an interest. We're nowhere near that, but that's another limitation. 25 years is now the term, and they also must be refundable. Back in the day, they were called non-callable or non-refundable. So if you got a 30-year or a 35 or a 40-year CAB, didn't matter if interest rates went down to 0 or 2, you could not refund them. That's not the case anymore. So what we commit to today is going to be the most cost efficient, but it also has an opportunity to be refunded in the future if interest rates allowed. Okay. The other documents that you'll see forthcoming will be things like the preliminary official statement, continuing disclosure certificate, bond purchase agreement, and the paying agent agreement. When you get those, remember what John said in May. He said there'll be some blanks, but don't worry about it. And that's because we won't have those blanks completed until we actually sell the bonds. So as a board, when you adopt the resolution, you're saying, hey, the resolution is final, and I'm directing and deputizing my admin team and my finance team to complete things on behalf of the district. You don't need to come back to me for the 1%. The rest of these legal documents are 99% complete. Don't worry about coming back for authorization for the 1%. We're deputizing you, go do that, okay? So when you see those documents, remember that's what John said as far as don't worry about the blanks. They won't be complete until we price things. Okay, ratings and insurance, prepping the bonds. The district's probably not going to get bond insurance. And you think of insurance, oh, well, wait a minute, insurance is good if something bad happens. In the history of California, you've never had GO bonds ever default. So they're the safest things out there. Why? Because it's an unlimited ad valorem tax pledge, meaning the county says, well, I'll levy whatever tax I have to. An asteroid wipes out half of Hermosa. Oh, I'll just double the tax rate for the people that survived, right? That's what an unlimited ad valorem tax pledge means. For context, if you were to imagine such a horrible event happening, the tax rate would go from $33 per 100,000 to $66. That's it. Like if you literally lost half of all assessed value, $5 billion gets wiped away, the solution is to double the tax to $66. So you get an idea of how safe and secure they are. The reason you would get insurance is because investors feel warm and fuzzy, and sometimes paying for an insurance policy saves you more in lower interests than not. Now, insurance for you or for other districts, you only get to go to a AA. Well, guess what? You're already at AA. That's your credit rating, AA. So we'll be having the opportunity to get ratings back from the rating agencies, and then we'll ultimately get what I believe to be another AA rating. So we get to kind of make our case, tell our story. The method of sale, this is interesting, and again, it's a little bit more historic, but there's two different ways to sell bonds. One's competitive and one's negotiated. Competitive, think of it as an auction. All right, everybody, Hermosa Beach, we're selling bonds. Lowest bid wins, And those that are interested, those banks, those investors can put in a bid, and the lowest bid wins. Negotiated sale says, hey, there's some extenuating circumstances. There's some other things out here. This is more complicated. The market's volatile. I think we need to pre-select an underwriter and have that underwriter work with us over a period of time. We don't want to take chances and throw it out on an auction day and be stuck with whatever comes our way, okay? This district's done it both ways. So we've done negotiated sales in the past. We've done competitive sales in the past. We're recommending this go around to do negotiated sale, primarily because the market has been volatile. Liberation Day, tariffs has kind of put a crimp in things. And this is not the most straightforward structure, again, with the inclusion of cabs and having a more complicated wraparound structure and debt service. So finally, and I've covered most of this, this is the smallest of the fonts, so really do apologize on that. But this kind of breaks down the three different areas, from the legal parameter establishment, which is really kind of almost the top half. You see in there conference call with rating agency and getting the ratings, and when that exercise takes place, you guys will take actual action June 4th. The county will follow with their action, and then we're looking to price on the 15th or 16th of July, and then 2 weeks later you receive money in the bank. So right now we're looking at end of July for the first round of funding in an amount of around $8 million. Yep.
Go ahead.
Is this timetable specifically to Hermosa Beach's process, or is this some larger financial process that happens?
No, this is unique to you. LA County is involved. Other counties sometimes don't get involved, so the inclusion of them. But nearly every district, you have to have the legal parameters and make sure these meet all the requirements of a tax-exempt financing. You have to get the bonds rated, possibly insured, and then you have to, of course, price the bonds with a 2-week close.
Rachel had a question.
Thank you so much, and thank you for that terrific overview. It was really illuminating. I had a quick question about the negotiated sale versus the competitive sale. I mean, is it possible, or does it ever happen that districts will go for competitive sale, the auction type, to see what they can get? Because I would assume, and maybe this is about assumption, but I'm assuming going through an underwriter is going to cost us, because we're going through yet another party to do work for us to finance the bond. So could you do both? Could you try competitive first and then go negotiated, or is that just not done? Thank you.
Yeah, it's not done. A competitive sale, you do all of this work, it all gets teed up, and then the big day happens, and you say, we're ready for all the bids. And if you get one bid, it has to be generally awarded. That happened about 2 weeks ago. One district, Lompoc, they only got one bid, and some underwriter just took a flyer on it and says, hey, I'll buy it if I can get it for this much, right? More often than not, you'll get 2, 3, or 4, or 5, or upwards of a dozen bids. So we usually are going to use our expertise to make that recommendation to say, hey, what's the cheapest way? What's going to save the district the most money, be the best for the taxpayers? And that's what we typically recommend. And keep this in mind, an underwriter is going to get paid regardless. In a negotiated, we pre-negotiate their terms, so we know how much they're going to do it for, and we have an underwriter that is going to do it for very low. But on a competitive sale, when they put in their bids, not only is it interest rates, but they put in their fees as well. So you pay for an underwriter one way or another. In the negotiated, what we're saying is this is a little bit complicated. This is a little bit of a, I guess, volatile interest rate environment. And our expectation is that we'll perform better doing negotiated this go around. But we can Series B, we can do a negotiated sale or competitive. So each time we sell bonds, we want to revisit it.
No, thank you so much. And your point about the underwriters can get paid either way was very convincing. Thank you.
And do we want to be, if the interest rates go down low enough, do we want to be flexible and jump quickly to sell a portion?
Yeah, I mean, if we can, it's timing the market is a bit of a fool's errand, okay? You can pull things like Liberation Day, wasn't that what it was called? Redondo was pricing that week. We pulled it. Right? No, things are too volatile, too crazy, so we pulled it.
Okay.
But we priced it the next week.
So you're looking out for that all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time.
I have another question, but I'll let you. Yeah. No, I just want to make sure I understood. So if we had a blank lot, nothing on there, it would not matter. We would not be able to ask for all $28.7 million up front in the first series.
Correct.
Because we are trying to make sure that, because we have a 5-year wait, we want to make sure we're paying things back from our previous bond.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the tax limits. It's not that you couldn't get that much money if you had an unlimited tax rate to apply.
But we do have a limited tax
But
rate.
we're constrained,
Yeah.
yes, by what we told voters. And so this is the most cost-effective, keep the tax rate low, get a significant amount of funding, but it's going to take
longer period of time.
years to
Yeah, I
get
just
to
think
that.
that's interesting for that. I think the public will want to understand, like, hey, why aren't you doing all these things at one time? And so there's multiple reasons. One is because of how we're going to get the money, and then also it's just how things move on
Yes.
on the site, and it is not a blank space.
And,
so
and there
there's-
is a logistical element, and I'm not familiar enough with it, but most districts can't just take on $30 million and say, okay, school's canceled.
Yeah,
You know,
unless it was
all
a
3
blank
of your
space, it was
campuses
an
are
open
closing.
lot, and we were building something brand new.
Correct.
Open lot, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And I will just leave this with you too. You can always get more money, and it's just at what cost. Districts right now are doing a lot of bridge loans, meaning, hey, I want an advance on that money from the future. Give it to me now, because the interest cost on that bridge loan is going to be a lot lower than the construction cost escalation that I'm expecting.
Right. I think
And
we
so
need to
it's
be
a
thinking about that. I think when we get to the discussion part, we should have a discussion about that.
Yep.
My question was just a clarification. So we're selling this first lot, or we're planning on it. If we do negotiate it this time, it doesn't tie us in to do that the next 2 times. We could, you know,
We could
you would
switch
take
to
a look at it and
competitive.
see. Okay.
Correct.
And then I just wanted to acknowledge, I think Paula in the room, to make sure that we got a AA rating. I think it's a big deal, right? To have a good rating for, and that's due to your work and the audits being clean, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
A+. Good job.
AA.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you for the presentation.
You bet.
This will be on the website and available to the public too, if anybody has interest in this particular area. It is interesting if you are interested in these
Yes, it
items.
is.
All right, moving
Thank
on.
you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your time. Moving on, Mr. Alan Riesling, 10.2, measure HV project prioritization and next steps. This kind of is a good follow-up. Welcome.
It's a perfect follow-up.
Yeah.
So-
Hi, how
so
are you?
now,
Can you,
good
Alan,
afternoon.
will you tell everyone a little bit who you are?
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Alan Rising, and I work with the District Advocates Group here to support the district in program development so that we can begin to move all these projects forward and begin to bring these much-needed improvements to our community. I myself have a long, almost 40-year career in school facilities. I recently retired as the Assistant Superintendent of Facilities and Operations for Long Beach Unified School District. So coming in to really help the team. And I do have to pause for a moment and say it's been a joy working with your team. You have a fantastic team that's engaged and committed, and it's been fantastic to work with these 3 ladies up here and collaborate with them. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
Great.
So now we're going to talk about what I like to call the fun stuff, right? Like, what are we going to do? So we just got to talking about the money, and we're going to talk a little bit about the project work that we're going to be doing and how we're proposing to engage in this $28.7 million bond program. So to start, to kind of lay the background, so we had a 2024 master plan update that really was done by SVA architects and really underscores the work that we're doing going forward, really kind of laid out a game plan for where our needs were and where those critical infrastructure improvements were needed. So everything that we're doing moving forward is really grounded in that plan. That we did a community input component to it. We really looked at that very closely. Using that plan, we were able to go to the community, and we received over 62% community support for a $28.7 million bond program in November of 2024. So we should all be applauded for making that happen to improve our schools for our communities. But as we just heard, our bond proceeds that we will receive are limited. They are not where we just receive a $28 million check and then we're able to move forward with that. We have to be strategic in the way that we move forward with these dollars. As we just heard, we're going to have an $8 million bond sale in 2025. We're forecasting a $10 million bond sale in 2027 and another $10.7 million bond sale in 2029. So as we move forward, really recognizing that we have some constraints that we have to work within. Some of the challenges, to quickly, as we went into this, there are some challenges. As we begin to look at the priorities that we have, we really have to work towards balancing what our most immediate needs are and balancing those against our available resources, right? All of us, every one of us that are part of this community can probably talk about the needs that are at school sites and what some of those needs are, but we really have to take the time to really focus on what are those main priorities and how do we balance that across the resources that we get over time. Really, a big one is forecasting cost escalations. We are in a very uncertain economic future. All you have to do is turn on the Channel 7 news and you hear about tariffs and you hear about all these cost escalations and all the uncertainty that's happening across our nation. All of those have impacts on our construction market, not only in the availability of labor, which is a constant kind of challenge that we have in construction, but also in just availability of materials and what those materials may cost over time as we begin to forecast those. So there are some definite economic uncertainties that we just have to be aware of and make sure that we strategically adjust for those to ensure that we're accounting for those. We have to really look closely at our cash flow projections to make sure that we can effectively and efficiently execute those projects. That's kind of a long way of saying we don't want to overcommit and underdeliver. We want to make sure that what we're able to tell the community we're going to do, that we're able to do within the available resources that we have. We definitely don't want to overcommit. And lastly, really underscoring the whole thing is establishing those proper level of contingencies to account for those absolute unforeseens that will come. And if you've ever done any work, like homework, you know when you remodel your kitchen, there's a ton of unforeseens that's going to happen. Schools are no different. As we go into schools, we're going to find things that we didn't expect, and we're going to have to be ready to address those as those come up. So again, as we moved into this and working closely with collaborating with school site leaders, with district leadership in the community, we looked at what our Series 1 process would be, each one of the series. Again, it's $8 million that we're forecasting to be able to sell in 2025. Right at the top is Hermosa Valley School, really recognizing that school has not really in a material way been modernized and received some of the improvements that your other schools have. So we're looking at moving right into it with the addition of 2 new flexible science classrooms that school needs, as well as some performing arts centers, performing arts classrooms at Hermosa Valley School. Looking at Hermosa View School, that school is really kind of increasing enrollment. So we have to look at how do we optimize existing spaces. We focused on rooms 108 and 208 to be able to adapt those rooms to special education needs to help address some of those enrollment challenges that are happening at that school site, to be able to improve that school and provide those additional spaces there. And then at the bottom, during that first series, is really doing a district-wide technology systems audit. We have to recognize that our school district needs to stay up with the 21st century learning and making sure that we're providing spaces and capacity for students to be a significant part of their future. And so making sure that we have the best technology, the best systems in place to help support that learning is very important. As we move into Series 2, which is going to be in 2027, we're forecasting that we'll have about $10 million in proceeds. So that aforementioned district-wide technology infrastructure, we would now begin to make those improvements at school sites, looking at the core infrastructure, the switches, the devices, all of the pieces and parts that children use to help make sure the technology is robust and is reliable in their classrooms. We'll also come back to Hermosa Valley School. The administration building upgrades are in dire need of some improvements there as you look at how it's kind of tucked away in a back corner and needs to be brought more into the front. Improvements, relocation of the front entry area for the school site so that we have a more receptive and warm welcome to the community. Dealing with some of those challenges with student drop-off and traffic circle issues at the front of the school. There are several HVAC system replacements that need to be completed at that school site. We're doing some this summer, but we have to complete the rest of those HVAC improvements. And there's various different miscellaneous building systems and cosmetic improvements at the school site that need to be completed. So those would all be focused on the second series of bonds. Moving into the third series of bonds, we would go back to Hermosa Valley School. There's other outside the classroom improvements that we'd be looking at. So to continue to addressing the needs at that school site, we would look at the athletic field improvements, playground improvements. There's developing some underutilized space outside of the gym and locker room area. There's kind of an open air / kind of partial open air area there that can be better utilized to help support the students and community's needs. And also looking at how we might be able to relocate the district offices to be better suited to support the community and provide opportunities for the community. And lastly, we look at kind of overall energy improvements, really recognizing the district's commitment to sustainability, ensuring that we look at things like solar installation, which can have a double improvement to the district, not only lowering our ongoing operating costs, but also getting us off of dirty energy that comes from Southern California Edison and other sources. And also looking at HVAC improvements to help reduce our energy costs and be able to move forward with that sustainability program. So progress. So we have made some progress to date. Tonight you just heard about our Series 1 bond program where ISOM advisors came in and talked to us about the strategies for selling those bonds. So that's big progress. We're ready to move forward with that. We've already approved our list of architectural services firms, and those firms are ready to go and ready to start rolling up their sleeves and helping us to move these projects forward. We've approved our topographical and land surveying firms. A lot of folks don't really know what those are, but those are the folks that look at the site topography and make sure that we have all that information to be able to design appropriate access areas for our school site for folks with physical disabilities. We're currently in the process and closing out on the solicitation of construction management services, materials inspection and testing services, and project inspection services, which will all be needed to help these projects move forward. Our next steps, the stuff that we're working on currently, again, finalizing this major HVU first series of bonds, approval of the project list that we're presenting to you tonight, and establishing what those initial priorities are going to be. Soliciting the selection of our architectural firms. So we want to have firms start working on these projects right away so that we can begin to get those to the state Division of State Architects. The state can approve those to be able to start executing those projects. We want to bring on our construction management firms that can start working closely with our architects and engineers and our contractors to help manage those projects moving forward. And also the communications program, really making sure that we're communicating the successes of the program and the work that we're doing with our communities, with both community ongoing newsletters and website opportunities to ensure that we're communicating the successes of the program. So with that, that's kind of a short synopsis of what we've been doing, but I'm available for any questions you may have about what the priority list or what's next in our effort to bring these great improvements to our community.
Thank you, Ellen. I'll start with Rachel.
Thank you. I thought that was a wonderful overview. I didn't know if we're going to talk, I'll leave it to Susan about a possible playground movement within that timeline, but I thought that was terrific and I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, so whatever input the board wants to give and talk and discussions about. We had talked about, obviously, you'll see kind of in Series 3 where we just divorced the playground structure from the athletic field structure because when we look at the two, one is in a little bit more dire condition than the other one, and it kind of builds that very back part of Valley, but it's also connected to kind of an older portable there that it's well past its lifespan.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Maggie.
I have some questions on scope and timeline. So with our bond sales in 25, 27, and 29, and this might have been a question for John Isom, Alan, apologies if you don't have the information on this one, but if I recall correctly from our last bond sales, we can only keep the money for so long before we have to spend it, right? So I am a little worried in putting in phase 1 the classrooms because construction takes time, right? So I think we're gonna have to have the money to get everything launched, but knowing that construction at a minimum, you're probably looking at 2.5 years, I would think, before soup to nuts of something, even if we went with what do I have? A modular type of construction, right? Which those can drop in 6 months and you can have them completed and hooked up. There's still the ground prep that takes about 3 months at least. Prior to that, so you're looking at 9 months at a site, besides all the architectural stuff. So how to think through any like physical piece with that close of a timeline of bond sales?
Yeah, the timeline you're referring to is an IRS timeline, and it's a 3-year expenditure plan to have in place. So the bond sales that we make in 2025, we would need to have them expended, and I'll say, or have a close plan for expenditure. It's not an absolute, there is some flexibility there, but it's a 3-year timeline, basically. And I'll just say with an $8 million bond sale, and considering the work that we're planning on doing, I don't feel that there's going to be a problem with expending those $8 million over those 3 years. There's a lot of work that goes into, and honestly, some expenses that go into the development of the project with design work and development. But we can easily, once we start now, be ready to start in the second half of 2026 to begin the project at Hermosa Valley without too much difficulty.
And when you say start the project, like breaking ground because plans have been approved, we have to send them up to state. I remember last time.
We do. So it's typically a year process from the time that we give the architect the time to go until you're able to get those plans into the state and through the state. Now, super complicated plans, like you're talking about a whole new school, those take quite a bit of time to get through the state. Smaller projects like what we're talking about here, those we can get through the state, relatively quickly. So we could be in construction towards the end of 2026, second half of 2026 at Valley with this type of work. And then you put in another 6 to 9 month construction window. So it really, I don't think it's a big issue right now to expend those dollars within 3 years.
And one of the considerations too for those science classrooms were kind of twofold. One is that we're looking at enrollment trends down in our K-4 land as those trends start kind of coming through, knowing we're going to need these classroom spaces. But also the position where these two classrooms would be designed allows for the school to continue uninterrupted. And so construction can use that side parking lot, be able to come in down that fire lane, and it doesn't disrupt. So we're able to get going fairly quickly without making teachers move, but without dropping portables, those kinds of things.
I have a couple more questions.
Go ahead.
Are those portables able to be reused? That might be a Sylvia.
They're old. Sylvia taught in them.
I know, I remember. But I mean, like,
Not to imply
I'm still
anything.
haunted by Measure S.
Not that
where
you're
we're
old,
like
just the portables are old.
in a
Yeah.
bidding war off of portables at one point.
The portables that the music room's using and a few of the others have seen their lifespan.
Plus, yeah.
So those portables we couldn't, once we break ground for those portables are gone, not to be reused during any other construction project during the lifetime of Measure HV.
Yeah.
So those portables, I've actually walked those portables with your staff. The main structure of the portables can most likely be reused, but it essentially amounts to having to completely rebuild the building from scratch. So the structure, the structural steel that's inside the building, doesn't degrade like the exterior finishes and other things. So it is possible, and there is kind of a niche market out there of folks that will take those buildings and completely rebuild them. But quite honestly, you're most of the way into a new building anyways. So if you do need space, it's almost better off just getting a new building from the modular manufacturers. Yeah.
And then when, Susan, when your team was working with Alan on this, so there was obviously like a minimizing of construction flow. Can you just talk more about how you're thinking about how the space works on campus in terms of what is an easy piece that goes up in terms?
Yeah, so same thing. So thinking steps ahead, right? These two classrooms we felt would get a fairly immediate impact on students. When we started thinking through all of the different projects, we really wanted to prioritize what is most going to have the closest impact on students, right? So, there's things that involve staff, admin building, things, but really it's like, what's going to impact students? Because we do know there are going to be things that are going to impact this priority list. So as the wish list goes down, we want to put the things that impact adults further down in the rank. Getting something that we felt like these classrooms would allow us to have a little bit more space to give us some breathing room as the enrollment trends start to come up. again, with minimizing the impact on the space, but also thinking ahead. So the playground is in dire need. It's very rusty. You know, I think it gives Paula shivers every time we walk past it. That is we think a fairly quick thing that could be done in a relatively short period of time. Again, not disrupting campus and learning. But to do that, there is a third portable there that's currently housing the band room. Again, it makes the science ones look prestigious. So knowing that that's going to have to go eventually, so where do we what classroom space do we relocate our band program in? So that's where we really thinking about kind of setting us up so then we could move quickly on at least the playground structure, because we know how important that is to the community.
And I guess sorry for taking over the questions.
Yeah.
Thanks, team. My one concern with moving ahead on the playground piece is that we will have enough time with architects to really think through how open space looks on campus before we get to that. And so, like, if we're breaking ground by 26, right, will our architects have enough time to get through community forums and everything else we need to think through?
Well, I don't think they would just do one. I think we're going after a couple, right? As you know, the way I'm thinking of community forums is like, we're looking at who are the science classrooms that we're going for community and really teachers and students, right? That's who we're really going after input for. Then as we start thinking about the next project, they don't also have to be the same architects. They could be two different, you know, the board approved 2 architect firms. So we can think about projects separately. Like, Vista, for example, is tight. So the last remaining classroom is currently being used by an RSP teacher. I've got groups of kids coming through now where we need to take that back as a classroom space. That might be we may split the projects just so that they can be moving a little bit faster. But I see a series of I don't want to have a project where we get input in 2025, but we're not building to 2027, 28. I'd want several.
So I hear that. My only concern is if we're going to put the playground in, right, we're going to have a pretty good understanding of what that space looks like by 26.
Can you move playgrounds? Any of these new types of playgrounds?
They're not that
Probably not cheaply.
Yeah. So like my only concern is the work we're going to do in 29 by putting playground here, which I agree with doing. I just think we need to think about planning happens then this year. For not the bits and pieces of it, but like the community space of how it is used.
Yeah, we agree. And that's really one of the things that why these 2 architect firms, I ran reference checks and I'm calling people that they really do have an expertise in really going out and gathering and not only just gathering input from the community and teachers and then using it. There were tangible examples of how they used. Teachers said X, we did this, right? And they could clearly communicate when they weren't able to do something too, which I thought was a really important aspect.
I can pass mine to
Kathy?
I'm good.
Carol?
Megan covered it for me.
I just want to make sure I clarify what I think I hear you say. And what I think I would love to see is someone who's able to master plan, like take our master plan and master plan. Basically go to Valley and be like, okay, this is Valley. What are all the needs, Valley, you have? We see there's science, we see there's these extra spaces, and just do one bigger overview, not piecemeal all those things, but then we can piecemeal the construction part of it. Yeah. And I think that's the plan. I just want to clarify that's what you all are.
It clearly is. When we begin to engage with the chosen architect for the site, that's one of the initial things that they will do is kind of do an overall survey of the site and identify those items that we want to do, in addition to those items that we're going to have to do that are going to be mandated from us by the state, and then those things that maybe they've identified that we're not going to do at this time. And so they'll come up with I'll call it a mini plan for the site that we engage with, and we can engage with our community and others to decide what that is. There is a point where we are constrained with budget, right? So, I would say you can spend most of your money at one site if you really wanted to, right? And that's not the goal here, right? So we will need to balance those available resources against what our primary goals are at those sites. But the architects, once we get them engaged, that's exactly what they'll do during the initial schematic design phase of the project.
Is that what you were asking for?
So just to restate, so once we have the schematics on this, I think I'm okay with putting playground in phase 1, series 1 of this because of the urgent need for the playground, as long as it doesn't hinder where an extra portable needs to go during construction, or if it doesn't impede the future phases of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
That's, yeah. And we anticipate that if we did have to drop portables later on to do some of the larger pieces of the construction, they would go in that lower basketball court kind of area. I believe there's been portables, but there in the years past.
Thanks, Al.
And then the other part, I just want to confirm that we are, bullet point 6 is a priority, I think, for I'll just speak for myself, but to get community and staff input on all these decisions. And I just think they would appreciate that.
Yes, so our goal is to, once the board has approved, we'll bring the priority list at the next board meeting. We'll share a draft, but we'll bring one for formal approval by the board. Then our goal is to package that, as well as bond information, what we've done to date, in a kind of district communication that doesn't go just to our families. Ideally, we'd like something that hits mailboxes, so that, and that in that would be save the dates for some of these input meetings.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Helen.
Sorry, one question on that.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry, Carol.
Would part of that communication be going out to staff too, if they had input on it?
It'd be go
Okay.
everywhere.
Yeah, community staff.
Great, thank you. All right, moving on. 10.3. Dun, dun, dun. The Hermosa Valley Music and Band Report. Miss Montoya.
Speaking of band.
Should we do an introduction?
I don't know, it
was excitement.
Hey, Richard.
Hi, welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome.
Thanks for waiting.
Yeah, thank you for being patient.
Thank you so much for being patient. Our first guest had to make a second board meeting up in PV, so they'll be racing down PC.
Okay, well, good evening. Thank you, board members, Dr. Wild, students, and guests. It is a pleasure to be here tonight to showcase the Hermosa Valley Band Program. Jessica Blesso wishes she could be here, but her and her entire family are under the weather.
Oh.
So you get me.
Great.
Thank you. It is an honor to stand here with the adored Dr. Buddy Clements, who has come out of retirement to be our new band director. He brings an immense passion and dedication to his role as our band director and has quickly become a beloved figure among students who appreciate his engaging teaching style and supportive nature. Dr. Clements comes to Hermosa with over 40 years of experience in teaching. He's formerly worked at Walnut High School, Cal Poly Pomona, and University of Redlands. Besides teaching, he has been an associate conductor of the Crystal Cathedral Church and has won many awards like the Top 25 Grammy Teacher of the Year. There he is. At Valley, we currently have 2 band programs. Our 5th grade band includes all 142 students receiving band instruction 56 minutes weekly. And then our 2nd program is our middle school band. This year, Dr. Clements has brought new life and instruments to this band, including the tuba, bassoon, and oboe to our middle schoolers. All right. And then in this program, we are looking at getting our students prepared for high school for either option, so they can join whichever band that they prefer. He has also started our jazz band. He has brought in guest speakers and artists. And he also is bringing a technology component into our program with the Smarts Make Music program. So it's helping students practice at home, and it can help that Buddy can go into it and look at it and help the students as well. We would also like to take this time to thank you personally to the board, HBEF and HVPTO for making our band program what it is, and for also believing in the importance of arts for our students. It's such an important part of all of our lives and as our students grow. We would also like to remind everyone again about our performance, our spring concert that's coming up this Tuesday at 5:30 at Valley. We'd love to see you all there. We also like to share about some of the exciting future for the band program. Next year, we'll be offering 2 sections of middle school band. We'll have symposium band and advanced concert band. We will still also be keeping the 5th grade band. Dr. Clements will also be bringing the Tri-M and Music Honor Society. So it's the music sister organization of the National Honor Society to our students next year. All right, and without further ado, we will hear from our band. All right.
Okay.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, tell us, we're happy to have you.
Well, I guess we can just point it at you all, I guess. Okay. Just a second, because we weren't able to bring full drum set. I ran off and forgot one of the symbols, so I thought, it would be good if we could just Okay, so the two kind of know what they have to do all the time, which is that a lot of times we have to make last minute changes like that. So, I'm going to count to 4. This is a piece of music that breaks down in groups of 4. So if you hit on 2 in a chorus, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And if you hit on 1, 2, 5, like 1, 2, 3, and 4, like that, and then you can just shake, shake, shake. You can just flash anytime you want. Okay. So these students are all volunteers. We don't have a class yet for a jazz band. Hopefully, maybe one day. But in the meantime, and we actually weren't able to have an after-school program because they're all busy doing after-school programs already. So, but they're kind enough to give up some of their lunchtime, and I appreciate them coming down tonight because they all have homework that they're bugging me to get home to do. So, but it seemed really appropriate that we have a jazz band at Hermosa Valley because, as you know, I would assume you know, but Hermosa Beach itself is really one of the landmark cities when it comes to jazz because of Howard Rumsey's Lighthouse. And I grew up in Hawthorne. I mean, I heard about it forever. When I was in college, we would, pile in somebody's car and come all the way out from Redlands out here, to hear our favorite jazz artists. And of course, if you go up and down the pier, down towards the beach, you can see the little plaques that they have out there and all the great famous people that have been there. And I've been fortunate to work with several of those people. And so one of the people that I knew a little bit was a guy named Henry Mancini, and he wrote a piece called Peter Gunn. And so that's what we're going to play tonight. So, ready? And don't hold back. Ready? All right, here we go. Let me hear the bass real quick. You can turn it up. Okay, and let me hear the keyboard. Oh, yeah, we're good. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and.
microphone. I had a classroom right next to where the band practiced for years, and I've never heard anything as great as this. This is fantastic. You guys were great. Really, really true.
Yeah, great job, you guys. I mean, Mr. Buddy, we're so grateful that you're here to teach these guys too. I had really influential band teachers from 4th grade, Mr. McCullum, middle school, Mr. Nagel, high school, Mr. Parcel. They are people that stayed in my life the entire time. So you guys are super lucky that this teacher is here with us. And so thank you. And thank you guys for performing and just caring about music so much. So it's
been a
awesome.
great honor for me to be here. And I have to say that Sylvia and Jessica, when I talk to my friends and they say, what do you, they're all retired. And so they said, dude, what are you doing? And I said, well, and I say, well, actually, and it ends up, they're very persuasive. And because I kept saying, no, I'm not interested. And they said, well, could you just come and look at the kids? And I said, why would I do that? But I said, okay. And I came and they looked rather forlorn, the kids did, and I felt kind of bad about that. And then the persuasive part, or the dirty pool part, was that Sylvia had them all write me a letter, personal letter about what, their life and what music meant to them and how much they wanted to have a good program and everything. So anyway, it's been, wasn't anything I was counting on at this point in life, but it's been a great thrill. And these guys are, I'm so proud of them. They're just really, everywhere I go, I say what a well-behaved and conscientious and serious they are about their music and everything, and it means a lot to them. So anyway, it's just, I appreciate being here, and I'm looking forward to some great things happening next year and the rest of this year too. So come to our concert. It's next Tuesday night.
Definitely.
Okay.
We're thrilled.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Okay.
guys for spending your time here with us tonight. Thank you, parents. That was awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Montoya. Thank you. Okay.
When you get to consent, you'll do motion, then you'll ask for the second, and then you'll ask for roll
No
call.
problem. Okay. All right, moving on to superintendent report, ELA adoption, Dr. Wilds.
We forgot to ask him about the blue tuba. Did you see the blue
Yeah,
tuba?
the blue tuba is incredible.
It's plastic and it sounds amazing. Okay, so we're gonna do one last pivot. So thank you all so much. So tonight we bring to you our TK, our kindergarten through 8th grade English language arts curriculum adoption recommendation. Can I flip me? I don't think it reaches all the way from over here. All right, so we want to thank our committee. We had a very robust committee, all of the teachers who gave up a number of days out of the classroom, and we call them retreats because we really started right at 8 o'clock and we locked ourselves in till 3:30 every day. We also had classified staff, so we want to thank Tracy, who's a paraprofessional, as well as Heather Myers, our school librarian. We had our administrators there, Jessica, Sylvia, Hillary, and then we had parents involved on the committee as well. And then we had a very special board member guest.
Very special.
So our process, so we started on February 1st, was our first lock-in retreat day, and we spent the time building our expertise. We came back on February 19th, and we continued creating what we call the True North. What is the vision statement? So that at the and once we have fully implemented this adoption, what did we want literacy to look like for each and every student in Hermosa Beach School District, which I'll share with you in just a moment. Then we wanted to make sure that we had a research-based norming tool that everyone could use to look at these curriculums utilizing, and we spent the time norming because we wanted to practice on a lesser high-quality curriculum so that we could just practice the what are we looking for? How are we coding and scoring things? On March 12th and March 26th, we came together and we then started examining what we considered the top 4 curricular options using this IMET tool. And you're going to see we came fairly quickly to a consensus. Throughout the process, oftentimes teachers are saying, I'm seeing things, I'm looking for things, I'm seeing some things, this looks good to me, looks good. And we kept saying, just wait for it. Because when you see it, you're going to know what you're looking at. And I feel it, and we did. We had people had reactions. Over the last month, we've had all of the materials available for public input, for public viewing. We shared them with our teachers, our classified staff, as well as our parents. And then tonight, we're making a recommendation to you. So on our retreat day 1, we came together with some norms and values, because anytime you put stuff in front of teachers, oftentimes they're drawn to certain things, and we wanted people to kind of shake their biases out. We initiated a vision for literacy instruction, and we really spent some time digging deep into the reading wars, because we needed people to divorce themselves from past practices and really think differently about what the curriculum we wanted to bring forward. And we wanted to give everyone in this first meeting just a general overview of what we consider best practices, because the science of reading is starting to be, people think of science of reading as one thing, and we wanted to make sure everyone really understood what it really was. Well, what the science of reading says are these 4 research-based practices. It is absolutely foundational skills. That means explicit, systematic practice with reading foundational skills in those early grades. It doesn't mean in some classes, it doesn't mean, I like starting with the letter A, but you like starting with the sound S. It is explicit, and everybody is kind of lockstep, arms together. It's giving students regular practice with highly complex text, which is the biggest deviation from past practice, where you had this idea that we give kids books on their just right reading level. Research flies in the face of that. What research says is all students, regardless of their reading abilities, are provided with regular experience and practice with highly complex text and the academic language that is in there. Knowledge building. Students, the biggest indicator, the difference between students who have high reading abilities and low reading abilities is not necessarily always their decoding skills. It is their knowledge base. Students who have a deep background knowledge on a topic will always be able to comprehend at a higher rate. And then writing is integrated with the reading, meaning when we think about listening and speaking, you listen to something. When you speak, that's the output. Input, output. Reading is the input, but writing is the output, and they have to be integrated. They cannot be taught as separate subject areas, and that writing is grounded in evidence from the text, and it's throughout the lesson every day, in both literary and informational. This is the vision statement for high-quality literacy instruction. In HBCSD, and you're going to see this probably 1,000 times over the next 3 years as we implement, in HBCSD, every student will experience rigorous, evidence-based literacy instruction that is rooted in foundational skills, text complexity, and knowledge-building opportunities. Through meaningful collaboration among educators, students, and families, each student will become a confident, capable, and critical reader, writer, and thinker who communicates effectively. HBCSD leaders will empower educators by providing sustained, high-quality, multi-year professional development, ongoing instructional coaching, and resources aligned to rigorous, standards-based curricula. With a collective commitment to excellence and fidelity to curriculum implementation, HBCSD will meet the diverse learning needs of all students, preparing them to thrive academically and beyond. We wordsmithed this about 57 times. Every word was sweated over, 157. So on day 2, we came back and we did a deeper dive in each of these 4 practices. So we did an overview, and then we really went deep into all of them. This is actually an image that we kept kind of coming back to. This is Scarsborough's rope. This is how students learn to read. As you'll notice, when it starts out all the way on the left, everything is not connected. Knowledge, vocabulary, sentences, connections, gist. And then you've got the green at the bottom, which is that decoding, the sounds, the letters and words. And as the students gain greater and greater automaticity, the rope starts twisting tighter and tighter. And so it becomes increasingly strategic, and that reading becomes more automatic. And so this was deeply rooted in our vision statement. We were looking for curriculum that provide greater and greater opportunities for what we call the rope to twist. So on days 3 and 4, we finalized the vision statement, and then we started applying the IMET, and we started actually sharing evidence and rationale. Not that things were pretty, colored, colorful, those kinds of things. We were actually looking for evidence of those 4 practices. And then we honed our ability to rate. This is what we used. The instructional materials evaluation tool is actually a research-based tool that was developed by the writers of the Common Core in order for you to implement curriculum that meets the standards and meets the level of rigor. And we rated everything based on a 3 all the way down to a 0. We looked at each of these curriculums, we looked at them individually through each non-negotiable. We looked at expeditionary learning. We looked at CKLA, which stands for Core Knowledge Language Arts, but has been now purchased by Amplify, but it's still called CKLA Amplify. We looked at Wit and Wisdom by Great Minds, which is a knowledge building curriculum. So in addition to Wit and Wisdom, we looked at Geodes. Geodes is a decodable that takes the knowledge that they're learning in a unit and pairs it with the foundational skills they're learning in Foundations. Then we also looked at Arts and Letters. We had an overwhelming winner, so we didn't have to go to a tiebreaker. But we want to just give a real brief overview about how Wit and Wisdom engages. This is where the teachers really felt that this set it apart from the others. Wit and Wisdom does not use a core textbook. It used many core texts. They use actual books, high quality, award-winning books from contemporary and established authors. And the term we used, we were looking for books that were worthy of study. So if they're complex, you have to go back to them many times. They have to be worthy of you going back to them many times. The lesson planning within Wit and Wisdom are highly rigorous learning tasks. They're designed on the core principles of the universal design for learning, multi-sensoring approaches with low floor and high ceiling tasks. So all modules within Wit and Wisdom start with what's called an essential question. There is no answer. Kids can study these for as long as they want. But here's just some examples. All the units are rooted in history and social science. Social science, history, social science, or science. For example, what makes the world fascinating? How do books change lives? Why do people explore the sea? What is an artist? How does change impact people and nature? My favorite, what makes a great heart literally and figuratively? Why is it important to see both sides of the story? And how can sports influence individuals and societies? To give you a little kind of peek, this is 8th grade module 1. What is the power of storytelling? So just gives a little overview of the module. Basketball and family, teamwork and superstar moves, split-second decisions and their reverberating effects. Those are the focus of the contemporary novel Inverse, The Crossover by Kwame Alexander. They're also the lifeblood of the twin brothers Josh and Jordan Bell, who are on the brink of maturity, figuring out their paths, passion, and game plans. They're also the subjects of Josh's energetic freestyle poems, poems that convey the novel's ultimate subject, the power and poetics and power of storytelling. And then kind of this is a unit that really is embedded into this idea of narrative writing, but narrative writing through expressing your own self. And that's really a engaging topic for 8th graders. Give you a little bit more of the overview. I'm not going to read this, but we wanted to make it available. But I want to end with the end of module tasks. So when we talk about rigor, for their end of module tasks, students apply their knowledge of contemporary poetry to their contemporary experience. Devising their own narrative in verse, they work deeply with form and craft to make meaning of an important experience, creating a story by capturing essential moments with poetic precision and pacing. Framed with an explanatory cover, students' end of module task communicates an understanding of their sense of self and the power of storytelling. I'm going to give a couple more examples. This is an end of module task from 2nd grade. Task, write an informative paragraph to explain your answer to the questions. How is one legendary person different from real-life pioneers? Students choose Johnny Appleseed or John Henry, that they would have studied both within the module, and they have contrast that person's legendary life with the lives of real pioneers that they studied throughout the module. They have to support their response with evidence from the following texts: Journey of a Pioneer and the story of Johnny Appleseed. They'll share this paragraph with. Every end of module has a real-life purpose for it, the task. Who are you going to be reading this to? And then there's always a series of checklists. This is another one. This is 5th grade. Imagine you're lost in the mountain. Write a story about your survival. Follow the steps of the acronym ESCAPE to plan out your story. So, sorry, I went way too fast. So curriculum preview for stakeholders. We've been notifying parents, guardians in the community to come visit us. We engaged in price negotiations and making sure that we can afford. Our goal was to do an 8-year adoption so that we're not doing this again in a few years. And we're making tonight the final recommendation to the board. After tonight, then we could execute paying for it and we'll start taking delivery of all the materials. And then our goal is to give teachers in-person professional development so that we can be in implementation in 25-26. Also of note, it's important that we have a roadmap for teachers of what the first 3 years is going to look like. So this is just a draft, but we're going to start working with our teachers so that they understand the expectations. This is a big lift for teachers, and we want to make sure that they are supported and they understand the type of professional development and support they'll get over the course of the next 3 years. Questions?
Go ahead, Maggie.
So it was fast.
Thank you so much to the team for doing this. I know it was immense. Susan, I'm just thinking back to your final interview with the board team and like how you were showing us, your vision on this way back when. So here we are a year later, and I'm really excited we're doing this. My question is off of the books that are introduced to the student. Are those prescribed by the publisher company, or is there like an adoption that happens every year? Do they look at text as it comes
No,
through?
the modules are designed, like for example, what makes a great heart literally and figuratively. In that, there are core texts that the lessons are all around. They are the informational about the circulatory system paired with Love That Dog, right, which is a book of prose. And then there's a series of, there's art, there's music, there's poetry, there's supplemental that all come together.
So I think to flip the question is, do the text, I mean, I'm still reading books that I loved when I was in elementary school, but do the texts get dated in any way? Like, is there an openness by the publisher? Do we have any insight of like next year's Caldecott winner becomes a new?
Yeah, no, Great Minds has developed these will stay. And again, they're all, Giant Squid, Patricia Polacco, these are beloved books. They would go off with a new, like any publishing company, they will have like a next version if they wanted to do that, but we don't anticipate they'll make any changes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Rachel?
Thank you. Dr. Wild, I just want to say hats off for an incredible job at just the systematic, comprehensive, evidence-based approach you took to ensuring that a collaborative approach that everyone affected by this, I mean, all of our teachers and our leaders and our staff were part of the process of choosing this new curriculum. Was, I mean, it blew me away what you've done here, and I'm incredibly excited to see it happening. And selfishly, I was wondering in 8th grade, am I going to see for next year for my 8th grader him engaging in that end of module task?
Yeah. You sure are. He will be reading. He will be reading crossover, and he will be engaging in poetic storytelling.
Oh, that's fantastic! I can't wait. Thank you so much. Congratulations, and thank you for the whole team that worked with you on this.
Carol?
Question and a comment. So I love that the essential questions in here are like sort of discussion based, and they could go a lot of different ways. Not what I'm used to maybe from seeing my kids fill out on forms of what did Mary say when XYZ happened, and point and tell me where in the text that was. So I think that's amazing. Are the books still on display if people wanted to come look at Valley?
They are in our office, in room 14. And then probably within a week or so, what I'll do is I will send them out to the school sites. The teachers are jonesing to get their hands on them.
Just in case someone's listening and was like, oh, I want to check that out.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. And I'm happy to see that development already starts in August. That's
Yeah, it
fun.
does. Yeah.
Thanks.
The core tenet of this curriculum is also core practices Socratic seminar. So to watch a group of first graders engage in Socratic seminar will take your breath away.
Kathy?
Yeah, I was very happy to be part of it, and I think we came up with the right program, the right curriculum, and I learned a ton from you in particular and from Science of Reading, and I wish I was still teaching. Some tiny little bit of me still wish I was teaching. But I'm excited for the future of our school and our students doing Socratic seminars in first grade. They're going to be running the world. Ruining the world, changing the world.
Yeah, I love what a big deal this is because I feel like it's a 20-year shift. It's like it goes, things really change, shift in education, especially with reading. Where we were with Lucy Calkins to where we are now with Science of Reading. I think it's exciting. I won a couple things I was going to, it is a big adoption money-wise. So
Yes,
I just want us
yes.
all to just like make sure I'm really on board, but it's, I'm excited about the new principals that know how to implement this program potentially. They're going to get guidance from the two of you, guidance from great professional development people. So it's, when you spend close to $500,000 on a language arts curriculum, we want to all hold hands and make sure we're all rowing in the same direction.
We're all doing it. And I want to thank Paula because you'll see we got a little creative. We have some leftover different one-time pots of money that we're clearing out too.
Yeah,
so
that's
this doesn't drain the general
Again,
fund.
A++. You're like triple A+s today, Paula. The other thing I was going to just say is I would think it might be really great for teachers and parents and students to have a reading list before they go into summer if they want to get front load some of the knowledge in some of these books. I find that my secret way of connecting with my kids sometimes is by reading the books that they're reading in English class, whether it was from middle school or grade school, or I did Battle of the Books with them. So I could have at least a academic conversation with them in the car ride home. So
Absolutely. One of the things too that we loved about this curriculum is that there is a parent letter that goes home before every module that lists all of the books. Hey, here are all the books, here are all the pieces of text, here's all the supplementary texts that are going to be read, here's even the art that's going to be, your child's going to be reading. But what it also does, it says, hey, if you're going to the library, look for these additional books that kind of can help broaden. It also will have things like, if you're home talking, here's some types of questioning that you can do that kind of help really reinforce some of the what we call content stages in Wit and Wisdom. And then it also even has field trips parents can take, think about doing this, this, and this as a family to really extend that hands-on knowledge. So.
I think we should also just acknowledge in our comprehensive plan, and when we came together last week, and all the survey data that we got, a lot of the feedback that we got from families and from teachers was rigor, and students, rigor. How are we going to increase it? And language, having a comprehensive program. So I really feel proud of us for kind of answering that call and listening to what people really are wanting. And get ready, everyone. We're moving in that direction. So
careful what you ask for.
Yes, welcome.
And it's well worth the investment.
It is.
Whatever the cost is.
So when you're wondering what to ask your kid on the way home from school, read the crossover and then have a conversation with them. Even if you're a kindergarten
Or
parent.
read anything else that Kwame Alexander. He's an amazingly prolific author.
But
He's
even
worth
if you're
reading.
like an 8th grade parent, read some of the books, the picture books. It's like there's just a lot of information in there that you
There's
could
a lot
have
of depth. And kids,
conversations
when we
about.
talk to kids too, kids don't want a stock reading book. They don't want to have to everybody open up to page whatever. And they want books. They want things in their hands.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy, for being on that committee.
I was excited to.
It's a great spot for you. Yep. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. I hope everyone got a chance. There's a lot packed in that consent agenda, mainly renewal agreements for the most part. Anyone have any questions on the consent agenda, or do I have a motion?
I move to approve the consent.
Thank you, Maggie. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Rachel. So we will do a roll call on this one. All in favor? Dinah, will you do the roll call for us?
Board Member Van Landingham.
I approve. Aye.
Board Member Cluth.
Aye.
Board Member Bove LaMonica. Vice President Clerk Barrow.
Aye.
President Cole.
Aye.
5 yes votes, motion passes.
Thank you so much, Dinah. Moving on to action items, number 12.1, Resolution 2425, Small School Districts Association Resolution regarding Senate Bill 1315, Dr. Wilds.
Yes.
This is a great one.
So this is a resolution put forth by the Small School District Association, to which we are a part, and they provide us a tremendous amount of resources. But our goal here is with this resolution, is to urge the California Department of Education to fully comply with Senate Bill 1315. This was a fairly new legislation that requires the California Department of Education to actually put together a report of the number and the types of basically reports that are required by school districts to submit on an annual basis. And that includes, and what we saw particularly during COVID with all of the one-time funds, there were a tremendous increase in the amount of plans you had to put together, plans to bring to the board, but also annual reporting. It's a burden on all school districts, but when you are a small school district, you are literally looking right now at the people who have to do all of these reporting. And we believe that the CDE has left off a number of key reports that really do suck time away from staff and away from being able to support students. So that we ask that you adopt this resolution and allow us to send it up to the state.
Basically, it's just saying, hey, we think you're asking too much from us. And in addition to asking too much from us, you forgot to mention that there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 other reports that you didn't even think about.
Right.
That, you know, in this kind of cavalier, maybe, request.
The LCAP plan in and of itself is hundreds of hours worth of work. The same thing with the SIPSAs, the ELOP plan. All of these things require hours of staff time and work to submit.
And what's our hopeful outcome out of this?
We just want it included in the report so that lawmakers, when they look at this, are actually looking at the totality of what really administrative staff are being asked to do. Like I said, in a larger district like Torrance, they have someone whose only job is to do the LCAP. Sylvia still has to do the exact same report. I look at Sylvia because she's triggered by the LCAP right now. Same thing with the consolidated application for federal funding. Most districts have a person just for that one. Small school districts, the same report has to be submitted, but just a lot less people.
And so what are we asking of them? What would we want a lot of change? How would we want the law to change?
We don't want the law to change. We just want them to comply with it and put all of these into their final report to lawmakers.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Can I get a motion? Any other questions? Sorry.
No questions.
Move to approve.
Thanks, Maggie.
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Carol. All in favor? Do I
Aye.
need to do a roll call on that one? Okay, go ahead. Roll call. Dinah.
Board Member Van Landingham.
Aye.
Board Member Cluth.
Aye.
Board Member Bove LaMonica.
Aye.
Vice President Clerk Barrow.
Aye.
President Cole.
Aye.
5 yes votes, motion passes.
Thank you, Dinah. Number 12.2, adoption of wit and wisdom, the K-8 geodes, K-3 foundations, TK through 3 as the English language arts curriculum.
Yes, as shared in the presentation earlier, this is an action item to now formally adopt and give us the green light to purchase the Wit and Wisdom curriculum in grades K through 8, geodes in grades K through 3. We've already purchased foundations, and that's something we've already done, but it never got taken to the board as a formal adoption. So we want to bring it forward so that all 3 are part of our legal compliance. This is an 8-year adoption, and staff recommend you approve this action item.
Can I get a motion? Or
I'll
any
motion to
questions? Sorry.
approve.
Oh, thank you, Carol. Can I get a second? Thank you, Kathy. All in favor? Dinah, would you do the roll call?
Member Van Landingham.
Aye.
Member Cluth.
Aye.
Member Bove LaMonica.
Aye.
Vice President Clerk Barrow.
Aye.
President Cole.
Aye.
5 yes votes, motion passes.
Thank you, Dinah. Business 12.3, the consultant service agreement for project management. Dr. Wilds.
Yes, so this is a limited consulting agreement to secure services of a construction project manager to support our few remaining Measure S projects. So we've got the HVAC replacement for about 10 units at Valley, the current repairs that we want to do this summer on the View HVAC system, as well as the Vista Turf project. This agreement is a not-to-exceed amount, and hours will only be utilized as needed for those individual projects. Staff recommend you approve this agreement.
Anybody have any questions?
Nope.
Okay, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Kathy, and I'll take the second from Rachel. Dinah, can you do the roll call, please?
Member Van Landingham.
Aye.
Member Cluth.
Aye.
Member Bove LaMonica.
Aye.
Vice President Clerk Barrow.
Aye.
President Cole.
Aye.
5 yes votes, motion passes.
Thank you, Dinah. 12.4, agreement, Hermosa Valley HVAC installation services with Retrofit Technology LLC. Ms. Montalvo.
Thank you. The Hermosa Beach City School District is committed to maintaining safe and effective learning environments. To support this goal, the district identified the need to replace 10 units, aging HVAC units. 7 firms submitted sealed bids and did a public bidding on April 23rd. Following a thorough review, Retrofit Technology LLC was identified as having submitted the lowest bid and most responsive. A notice of intent was issued on April 24th. The recommendation is that the agreement for the Hermosa Valley HVAC installation of Retrofit Technology be approved.
Anybody have any questions? I have one, but do you have any questions?
I don't.
Rachel, you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
And just to confirm, this is the company that's going to take all the units and put them, make them all work together. Like,
No, this is the units that we're placing at Hermosa. We bought the units early because we knew there would be a
Okay.
lag time.
Yep.
So we separated the buying of the units, and this is just the service to install those 10 units this summer. They are installation on locations at Valley. We do not believe where roof lines would be impacted by future construction.
okay. And they will work with our current system?
Yes.
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 And that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yes, they're like for like.
Like for like, okay. All right. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Maggie and then Kathy. Can I get a roll call, please, Dinah?
Member Van Landingham.
Aye.
Member Cluth.
Aye.
Member Bove LaMonica.
Aye.
Vice President Clerk Barrow.
Aye.
President Cole.
Aye.
5 yes votes, motion passes.
All right, moving on to 12.5, the purchase of the Heartland Solution software and hardware. Ms. Montalvo.
Thank you. We're really excited about this purchase to move away from Meal Magic. Heartland provides a robust system. The system provides managed meal applications, ensures compliance with state guidelines, provides a user-friendly point of sale. So we're really looking forward to implementing this system and having it up and running by July 1st. The recommendation and the agreement for the Hermosa Heartland is recommended, and this is coming from a KIT grant. So I wrote a KIT grant 2 years ago and got $125,000, so that's what we'll be paying for it.
Well, that's exciting. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're at 4 A's today. Almost super straight A's tonight. But can I just ask a question about, are we getting this up and running just in case we lose any federal funding for meals?
Yes, it has both applications. So it has a free and reduced side, and it also will have a point of sale that can integrate with Power School and My School Bucks.
Okay, so potentially, we don't know yet for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it varies every day. Whether we would have, currently we've had a free lunch program. Everyone's been on
Yes.
free lunch. Doesn't
Yes.
matter what your
Yes.
economic status is. But moving forward.
Yeah. If we had to pivot, this software allows us to pivot in a day.
Okay. And parents should know that if we had to pivot, potentially then if they were going to get lunch at school, they would now have to pay for
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Potentially.
Okay.
Unless they qualify.
Exactly. Yeah. Go ahead, Carol.
My question was just, does this take the place of e-funds? Or
We haven't been using e-funds since COVID, so there's no payment system anymore.
But what
Meal
were we
Magic.
using, right.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm thinking of that more for what they were using for science camp. They were still using e-funds. You would still continue to do
Yes.
that?
Correct.
Okay, this is just for food.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Can I get a motion?
I had a question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rachel. Sorry.
I should have asked this before, but I was just wondering, the Meal Magic have the gluten-free options, allergy-friendly options that come as part of their meals.
So if they want a gluten-free option or they require a special diet, there is a form that they have to fill out. That form has to be turned into the district, and then we turn it into our provider, Torrance Unified, and we'll be renewing their contract tonight, or we already did. So it's a process. We don't automatically serve a restricted diet or a gluten-free. They have to submit a doctor's note.
And once they've submitted that, like the folks that we know that are diagnosed as celiac, it's not that it's just the process has to be followed. It's not that there's a chance it could be rejected.
Not
Correct.
typically, no.
Yeah,
We've had, we don't have any students on special diets this year. We have in the last 2 years, though. So a specific meal comes to the school with their name on it. It's kept away, it's separated from all the other meals in the refrigerator.
And to be honest, I don't think a lot of folks know that, as you know, my son does have celiac disease and we pack his lunch. Well, I have to admit, my husband packs his lunch every single day because I didn't think we had the option to even request something for him at school. And that's bad on us for not asking, but that's wonderful to know. And if we could help maybe when we transition and again, remind parents that does exist. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, can I get a motion? Thanks for asking that question, Rachel.
And I'll motion to pass.
Thank you, Rachel. Can I
I'll
get-
second.
Thank you, Carol. Dinah, could you do the roll call, please?
Member Van Landingham?
Aye.
Member Cluth?
Aye.
Member Bove LaMonica? Vice President Clerk Barrow?
Aye.
President Cole?
Aye.
5 yes votes, motion passes.
All right, we've got a few more here. Consultant agreement for special ed services, Ms. Gleck, 12.6.
The district has identified the need to conduct an assessment for a student requiring specialized evaluation. It must be done by a licensed audiologist. We do not have a licensed audiologist on staff, so it is recommended that the board approve the agreement for the consultant to do the assessment.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions? All right, can I get a motion? Thank
So
you,
moved.
Maggie. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kathy. Dinah?
Member Van Landingham?
Aye.
Member Cluth?
Aye.
Member Bove LaMonica? Vice President Clerk Barrow?
Aye.
President Cole?
Aye.
5 yes votes, motion passes.
Thank you. 12.7, purchase of technology equipment, 200 Chromebooks through the California Multiple Awards Schedule, contract number 3-24-05, 1014. Mr. Hernandez.
Good evening, Board. It's recommended that the Board of Education approve the CMAS purchase of 200 Chromebooks. The Hermosa School District continues to prioritize student access to technology to support the infrastructure programs, digital learning, and state testing requirements. To maintain the one-to-one device ratio in the middle schools, we want to replace the equipment. The district is proposing 200 ASUS Chromebooks. Are there any questions?
Rachel?
So do we insure each of those, or do parents take on an insurance responsibility for each individual Chromebook?
We are building that into our student store, and that will be a funding that they can donate.
Yeah,
or-
Rachel has not been a practice in the past,
Correct.
but we would like to implement that for the 25-26 school year, to allow parents to take insurance.
That's terrific. Thank
Yeah.
you. I saw that they were doing that
Yeah.
Redondo.
Yeah, so these Chromebooks would come in, be distributed to sixth grade is the first grade where the Chromebooks travel back and forth. They would come in for our sixth grade students, and then the students would retain these Chromebooks through sixth, seventh, and eighth.
Go ahead, Maggie.
How does that work if a family wasn't able to afford insurance?
They don't have to have it. Chromebooks fall, especially when you have like the way technology is now, Chromebooks and technology fall under like Williams Act, we're going to provide the Chromebook regardless. That being said, if a student, I don't know, takes a paper clip and jams it into a Chromebook and sets it on fire, the insurance would cover that. If they had insurance, if not, they would be billed for the total cost of the Chromebook.
The insurance would cover intentional destruction of the Chromebook. Wow.
It can, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
I don't recommend it though. Other things come with intentional destruction.
Right.
Carol?
No, I'm good,
Kathy?
thank you.
I'm good.
I did have a question just about our process in terms of making sure we just have a schedule and like do we have I guess I had always thought we had a schedule, so I'm surprised we don't have a schedule. So, or I'm not sure when we actually renew Chromebooks.
Yeah.
And then, because I thought we did.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
And COVID was about the last purchase, I believe, Aaron. It was the last big purchase
Correct.
was during COVID.
Yes.
Okay.
That was the last big purchase.
and then at least my two kids have Chromebooks that seem to have identification
Yeah.
things. It's just all like a process when you go to like, when they go to school to register, they
Yes,
get their Chromebook,
exactly.
they
Correct.
check it out. Like, is that what our plan?
That's our plan.
I have
So
some
our
back
plan
there.
is that that the Chromebooks, the charging
Chargers.
cords, the headphones, all those things would be barcoded and entered into the Follett system, which is just like a library system. Students come to the, and then as opposed to us chasing these down, they'd be checked out at the library. If a student needs a new
Device.
I lost my charger, then we can fine for it.
Okay. So that's our plan moving forward.
Yes.
Great question.
Yeah, go ahead, Carol.
I just wanted to sort of ask a follow-up question after the insurance will cover various things if it's on purpose or not. We still we still obviously have an acceptable use policy that parents and kids sign. So
Yes, we sure do.
insurance doesn't take the place of that.
They do not. And there is clear California education code around destroying school property.
Great. All right, so can I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Kathy.
Second.
Thank you, Maggie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, we have to do the roll call, ladies.
Why are we doing roll call?
Because Rachel's
Board
so
Member
sorry.
Van Landingham,
I'm sorry, aye.
Member Cluth,
Aye.
Member Bove LaMonica, Vice President Clerk Barrow,
Aye.
President Cole.
Aye.
5 yes votes, motion passes.
All right, moving on to 12.8, renewal of Palo Alto Network Security Subscription. Mr. Hernandez.
Yes, recommended to the board to approve the renewal of our Palo Alto security subscription. The Hermosa Beach City School District utilizes Palo Alto as a part of our network cybersecurity and infrastructure to ensure the secure and reliable operation of digital systems across our district.
All right, any questions?
Any questions?
Nope, not for me.
Rachel?
No question.
I just had again, just a little quick question.
Of course.
So I know we had like a phishing incident this week.
Correct.
And so how does this Palo Alto network, if we've had them, how does it prevent that, or how should it prevent that?
Correct. So with phishing emails in this particular case, it was a human, what would you call it, originated. So a person has to physically type in their credentials into somewhere, either an email, a website, on networks that are not necessarily regulated by Palo Alto because it's outside of our network, like home networks, like coffee shops, wherever there's Wi-Fi that's not our Wi-Fi, we don't have the ability to protect that with the Palo Alto network. It protects all our internal infrastructure, such as our servers, our students' information, our financial information. It's a fence around Hermosa Beach, it's school district.
So if a staff member takes their computer home or uses their anywhere outside of the fenced area,
Correct.
then this does not work.
Correct.
And so what do we do in that case?
Yeah.
In
So,
that-
yeah,
Go
a
ahead.
couple things. One, we can increase our two-factor authentication, right?
Which that is
So-
in place, yes.
Yeah.
It is,
So if you're logging onto a network that is not a Hermosa, forcing a second factor authentication, that could be one thing.
Okay.
We also talked about doing a more frequent, for lack of a better term, the great password reset. Passwords need to be reset in a much more frequent manner, which can be a little bit of a pain, but we can do a forced reset where we push out district-wide.
Right.
That can be something that we'll be putting into place as well.
Okay, just seems
Dr.
like
Wild,
that's-
I was gonna, just to jump in on that, I know just at my academic institution, we have, even though the training is painful, we've got periodic training, we have to update our emails, but the training is a reminder of, how to identify what is a fish, or what called the fish expedition, what not to do, and I think those are, they're important, as painful as they can be to have to do them, but we're denied access to our network if we don't get the training done on time. So, but it's been able to improve the security of our network.
Yeah, and Mr. Hernandez and Jorge went out at the beginning of the year and delivered that training to the beginning of directly to every staff at the 3 school sites, which I do believe helped people not, because we got immediate emails from folks saying, "Hey, Paula, why are you sending me a DocuSign?" Right, those kinds of things. So they were able to recognize it.
Those are good suggestions, Rachel. I feel
Yeah.
like- I mean, we all know the future we're in, which is this is going to happen. This happens every day to somebody in our little network here. So we probably have to beef this part up.
Yes.
Especially when it can happen so quickly. Okay, so I guess we need an approval.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Maggie, thank you, Maggie. So we got Rachel, Maggie. Can you do the roll call, Dinah?
Member Van Landingham?
Aye.
Member Cluth?
Aye.
Member Bove LaMonica? Vice President Clerk Barrow?
Aye.
President Cole?
Aye.
5 yes votes, motion passes.
Great. Thank you, Dinah. 12.9, classified employment transaction for new position and revised classified salary schedule for TK instructional aides. Dr. Wild.
Yes, so the next three items are what we call HR cleanup. So this action is an HR cleanup to ensure we have job descriptions for our transitional kindergarten classroom aides. This is a position that differs from special education paraeducators because they're serving the whole classroom versus a single student within the special education program. Staff recommend you approve this description as well as its line and inclusion in the formal salary schedule.
Great. Anyone have questions about that?
It's good to clean up.
Clean up.
Thank you. Thank you for cleaning it up. I thank you for noticing and thank you for cleaning it up.
All Sylvia.
Thank you.
Good to clean
You
up.
get an A tonight, too.
A.
Lots of
Triple
A's.
A.
Triple A's. Rachel, any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right. Can we get a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. I'll take Kathy, Maggie, Kathy, and then Dinah.
Board Member Van Landingham?
Aye.
Board Member Cluth?
Aye.
Board Member Bove LaMonica?
Aye.
Vice President Clerk Barrow?
Aye.
President Cole?
Aye.
5 yes votes, motion passes.
All right. Moving on to 12.10.
Yes, so also HR cleanup, we had an error on the salary schedule for our food service supervisor position. The salary was wrong, so we're rectifying it here tonight. Staff recommends you approve this schedule.
I'm really happy to do that. Can I get anyone have a question?
No question, but I'll move to approve
Thank you,
it.
Kathy. Second. Thank you, Maggie. I know you're going to say
Second.
it. all in favor, Dinah.
Member Van Landingham?
Aye.
Member Cluth?
Aye.
Member Bove LaMonica?
Aye.
Vice President Clerk Barrow?
Aye.
President Cole?
Aye.
5 yes votes, motion passes.
Thank you. And the last one tonight.
Yeah, so the final piece of HR cleanup tonight involves classified positions. So California Ed Code 45103 requires that job descriptions are created and made available for every position that you have within the classified service. And so these three positions, I apologize. Dinah, we need to amend this one.
Oh, yeah. I have the amendment. Sorry.
It's my bad.
So I should say, sorry, it's called item 211. It's the approval of revised classified and management confidential job descriptions.
Yes.
Oh, proceed. Okay, go on.
So this item, when it got printed in board docs, includes the TK position, but we already approved that. So what we're asking is to amend this item to just be the three directors.
Got it. So
we need a motion.
Yep, I see that right here. Yep.
I make a motion to amend the action item 1211 to exclude the TK job description.
And to approve only the management confidential job
And to
description.
approve only the management job description.
Thank you.
It's pretty good not looking.
It was. You were almost verbatim. Can I
I'll
get a
second.
Thank you, Carol. Dinah? Thank you for cleaning these up also. Great to.
Member Van Landingham?
Aye.
Member Cluth?
Aye.
Member Bove LaMonica?
Aye.
Vice President Clerk Barrow?
Aye.
President Cole?
Aye.
5 yes votes, motion passes.
Okay, but now we have to move to vote on an amended 1211, which includes the adoption of the revised job description. Do I need to do that part? Or is this, was this
Yes.
enough?
That did it.
No, we have to now make a motion on this
I
one.
think we now have to make.
But I have a question.
Yes.
My question off of this one is and thank you for doing the cleanup, off of the job description for Director of Communications.
Yep.
Given the amount of skills and knowledge that we require for that, I was surprised we don't have a minimum experience level in that. Just curious how you thought
So
through the
that particular job description was brought to the board, but as a different title. So that one we brought back forth tonight with the amended title. When you all voted on the title changes last spring, that's what we amended that for.
Got it.
Yeah. So typically what will happen, like if something happened and we needed a new director of communications, we will always, a good HR practice is to review job descriptions and make changes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Works
The
for me.
other two, we just didn't have any at all, right?
I move to approve the amended 12.11 action item.
Second. Dinah, can you do the roll call?
Member Van Landingham?
Aye.
Member Cluth? Aye. Member Bove LaMonica.
Aye.
Vice President Clerk Barrow.
Aye.
President Cole.
Aye.
5 yes votes, motion passes.
Thank you, Dinah. We'll go to board member roundtable. Carol and Maggie, I know you guys had stuff you wanted to chat about.
Yeah.
Well, I'll start with most recent with Hearts of Hermosa on Saturday, which was fun. I want to say thank you to Dr. Wilds for finding a way to let HBF have that event on campus. They've been trying to do that, I know, for years, and I think it made a huge difference just to the spirit and how excited people were to be there. And I think there was more staff there than I recall seeing in the past, so thank you for that. And then obviously a massive thanks to everyone at HBF who did all the heavy lifting to make that event happen this year and make it such a success and so much fun. So that was great.
Super fun.
And then at the end of April, I was lucky enough to go to a CSBA conference coast to coast in DC for 4 days, 3 days, 4 days, whatever. I took a red eye, so felt like 5 days, but it was 3 days, I think. But it was really great to be able to go. I'm very appreciative for being able to go and meet with other districts, hear from federal lawmakers on what they're working on, be able to engage with a lot of those people. And I'm also really thankful that Maggie was there because it made a huge difference to me to be able to do that with you, because I think that your experience and expertise made that a very different event than it would have been without you. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Just to add off of that, for details for the group, we heard from Senator Adam Schiff, California's newest senator. We heard from Representative Kevin Kiley. He's over the Congressional 3rd District and chair of the House Education Committee. So interesting that he's a teacher from Los Angeles, did Teach for America, family of educators, and now in Congress. So nice to have a teacher's voice up there, even if it's a diverse set of views. And then we also heard from our representative, Ted Lieu. And then we met, Carol and I met along with Santa Monica and Beverly Hills school board members with Ted Lieu staff, and were able to uplift our concerns, specifically off the committees he's on, where we thought he'd have the most direct voice, off of technology, cybersecurity, E-rate, and AI. Yeah. So.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Super fun.
Glad you guys went.
Yeah.
Good representation.
I had another.
Feel free.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
I was just thinking, I couldn't find the governance calendar in my files, but we should have a report out of when the technology thing happens. So I know it does happen on a schedule. Jen and I were like muttering over here of when that happens. So I was hoping we could come back with that information of when our next tech presentation is. Yeah.
I'm going to just build off that too, is that I know we went to that AI conference and would love to know kind of what I just can't remember what our next steps are on that.
Yep,
Doesn't have to be answered tonight.
Yeah,
but
we'll make it part of the presentation.
especially because it's happening in rapidly happening. Yeah, if anyone have anything else? Rachel, you have anything?
I just want to piggyback off of what Carol said. Hearts of Hermosa was outstanding. It was, I mean, the tangible difference in quality, fun, support from the community by having it at, showcasing and showing off our schools was off the charts. And the hard work of so many people. And I had, just the privilege of being over at Resin, and to thank Raphael McMasters for showcasing our students' art at Resin the night before, which was part of it. There's so many moving parts to Hearts of Hermosa outside of just actually physically putting it up and getting the sponsorships, et cetera. It was, now that I'm seeing everything that goes behind the scenes, I'm just amazed it gets done to such quality. So a huge thank you. And I really hope we get to have it again there next year, but maybe a little quieter after 10.
It was an incredible night. I agree. And the art was just so incredible. It was so beautiful. Everyone kept saying how they felt like it was top-notch art, especially. Great theme. I think people really rallied behind the theme. And thank you to the Dads. It was the Hermosa Dads. Are they called the Dads? What's the country band that played? I think it's called the Dads.
Something Dads.
Something Dads. But anyway, they were awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, very good. We appreciate it and all the hard work. On that,
I make a motion to close.
thank you, Maggie. Anyone second? Thank you, Carol.
I'll second.
Thank you, Carol. And Dinah?
Board Member Van Landingham.
Aye.
Board Member Cluth.
Aye.
Board Member Bove LaMonica.
Aye.
Vice President Clerk Barrow.
Aye.
Vice President Cole. Or, I'm sorry, President Cole.
Aye. And
Five yes
I'm
votes.
excited to have the new principals getting started with us. So here we go. Thank you.
Night, everybody.
Night, Rachel.